Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sascha Fahrbach. Now, Poland and Italy are closely aligned on major issues shaping Europe's future, from the war in Ukraine and the emissions trading system to EU funding and cohesion policy. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said that on Thursday, following talks with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. Also in Rome is U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who is expected to meet Meloni on Friday. The visit comes just days after the Pentagon announced plans to withdraw 5,000 U.S. troops from Germany amid Europe's broader adjustment to a post-Orban political landscape and shifting alliances within the EU. Joining us now to discuss the latest developments is Giuseppe Adamo, international affairs expert at the Institute of New Europe. Welcome to the show.
Nice to be here again.
So let's jump right into the focuses on Italy these last days. I want to ask what you get a sense of the meeting between Donald Tusk and Giorgia Meloni. Now, these are from slightly different political camps. Now, they're apparently discussing a new potential bilateral treaty. What do you make of that meeting that happened on Thursday?
Well, I think Giorgia Meloni has showed during the recent times that she's able, more or less, to speak with everyone. Whenever she starts to engage as a prime minister in bilateral talks or multilateral talks, we have been seeing that she doesn't really care about where the other side is coming from, politically speaking. So I think there was huge things at stake. I would like to remind that, for example, Italy recently voted to join the 3C initiative as a partner. And Minister Sikorski have been saying recently that in exchange, Poland will try to join the Rome process, which is an Italian initiative related to the Mattei Plan, a huge diplomatic long-term plan regarding Africa. So I do believe that Italy is looking for, let's say in some way, rebalance the alliance within the EU and try to gain weight. Let's say many critics say counterweighting the German and French hegemony in the EU. So it's going to be interesting to see how the political landscape will be reshaped by new players like Poland that are more and more important through the years compared to the past.
And Tusk also stressed here that they hold, both Italy and Poland hold identical views on Ukraine when it comes to that. Is this now, I mean, you said that Meloni is someone who's talks to everyone, but do you see more of a core shift here, how Italy is aligned here recently?
This is a tricky issue for her because despite of her being a really convinced pro-Ukrainian politician, she's surrounded both in the opposition and both in her government alliance by minority parties that pushing for her to be less conceding toward Ukraine. And some of them say clearly, both to the public and the media, that we should go back to buy Russian gas because it's cheaper, which is half a lie, of course. But her capacity to balance between those issues and not giving up on the Ukrainian front, like metaphorically speaking, show us how the situation for her is far more trickier than it can look from outside. From those people who analytically studied the Italian landscape, they know how many parties and part of the the commentary in Italy are kind of Russia sympathizer to some degree.
Mm-hmm. And also, I think if we look at the bigger, wider picture, it's also Meloni who is meeting with Friedrich Merz, the German Chancellor. Also, that was not so long ago. Now with Donald Tusk. Also, Pedro Maggi, I want to ask you about that in a moment. But generally, what's happened recently? Someone like Meloni, who also had a close relationship with Donald Trump, it appeared. Is that now pushed her into, let's call it, a different reality here for Europe? Is she now going to, I mean, if we look at E5, these big European countries, is she now more going to be in that bloc than she was before?
We should not exclude that, but we also have to take into account that we have seen how the relationship with the US has been a roller coaster. So if now the current circumstances maybe are pushing her toward a more, let's say, integration path with the other EU countries, we cannot exclude that in 2, 3, 4, 5 months there will be a total different circumstance in a total different topic that we rather let her take a step back. As we've seen, I've noticed a shift in terms of short-term versus long-term regarding foreign policy recently, I think because of the US administration. So I do believe that despite this is being definitely a step further regarding forms of EU cooperation in matter of defense and diplomacy, I do believe that the things are evolving constantly. So is a yes, but a yes with a reserve, let's we say.
Okay. Evolving constantly as well. Let's bring also in the topic of the head of diplomacy, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, already met the Pope. That seemed to be a constructive visit on Thursday. Now he's due to meet Meloni. Damage control for the Americans, but how's that meeting going to go? What do you think is going to come out of it between him and Meloni?
Yes, damage control is a term I coined like a few days ago here. Happy it was being quote. Well, let's say that Italy and US are getting to a new phase. I think we can talk it in we could call them constructive dialogue. For sure, there will be tensions regarding the lack of involvement of Italy in the Iranian war. But as Prime Minister Meloni said, nothing was asked in the NATO tables, in the NATO institutions. Whatever we received a request of being involved as being really through informal channels. So she clearly said to the media, friends could still have disagreements and going on and turn page. So I do believe there is no other way to approach what is still the biggest NATO contributor and the biggest NATO army and the world top superpower. So it will be counterproducent for her to totally cut bridges, despite also because there are many military bases, like American military bases in Italy, and is a huge trading partner, not only for normal goods, but for energy security of Italy. GNL, like liquefied GNL, arrived to Italian docks. So it's in her interest to try to still nevertheless being a bridge between the Trump administration and the other European country.
Let's talk about, that's an operative word there, bridges. Let's talk about another new old bridge, Hungary and Italy as well. We had Peter Magyar also, not even Prime Minister yet, although that's going to happen on the 9th, so that's on Saturday, swearing in, but he was also meeting Meloni. What do you make of that dynamic? I mean, this was someone who, Meloni was close to Orban. How is this relationship going to change now?
This is a quite interesting case because I think there's no precedence in the European Union. It's true that Meloni had been advocating for the Orban cause through, let's say, party affiliarity. She has been in that famous video when most of the right-wing European leaders have been supporting his electoral campaign. But then, if we carefully watch to what is Magyar foreign policy and Orban foreign policy, I personally find more affinity with Magyar than with Orban. Meloni has been always constructive toward the EU. She's not been trying to dismantle the EU institution, despite what she could have said during rallies and heated campaign. She has been always dialoguing with von der Leyen. She always trying to find a solution. She has been pro-Ukrainian stance. So I think most of the disagreements that could be between Meloni, Orban and Magyar, like rather Meloni and Orban as to rather domestic policies. They also share a common stance on, for example, between the two or the three on illegal immigration. They are pretty conservative about it. They want to defend their borders and they want to push for a common agenda in the EU regarding the safeguard of European borders. So I do believe that despite she has been advocating for Orban, because of the political convenience of being close to him in the sense of try to find a coalition of right-wing parties in the European Parliament, if we then watch carefully to the matters, watch carefully to the topics, we've seen how the affinity with Magyar is even more than Orban at the end of they're more similar on Ukraine and they're more similar regarding the dialogue towards the EU. So I do believe the cooperation between Italy and Hungary will go even faster.
Yeah, and I think that's also what Meloni said on Thursday, that we're closely aligned on many issues on Hungary and also with with Italy. So we'll have to see how that plays out. So in general, then, if we step back for a moment, all these different high-profile visits for Rome and the Vatican, how do you think that this will now play out in these next few weeks? What's the enduring signal from all these visits from these last days?
We have to take into account that, we are speaking about ideological affinity, but there are many geopolitical matters, geopolitical stance, geopolitical issues. For example, in the terms of Hungary, Hungary have been trying to get access to the port of Trieste in the northeast, in the Adriatic Sea in the northeast, and bilateral discussions are going through, because for them to get access to important trade point and access to the sea gives them a privileged route toward the international trade. So I think that when it's about defending national interests, this is about pushing not only an agenda in the European Parliament, but pure national interests regarding trade, energy security, migration. The political differences have been taken away. This is a golden rule that is applied in diplomacy, is a golden rule that is applied in foreign policies. So I think that this term of constructive dialogue, this point will be move forward on and on, both with the US and Hungary and Italy and Poland.
Mm-hmm. I know we don't know it yet, but just a quick one at the end. After Rubio's visit, do you think that the Americans will go ahead and actually withdraw troops from Italy as well, or was that going to be smoothed over after today's talk?
I do believe, I cannot guarantee for Germany, but I think for Italy it will be smoothed over. I think Meloni, as I said before, has the interest to keep, despite what the public opinion could say, has the interest to keep American bases on Italian soil for two main reasons. First, because that's give her diplomatic leverage. Give her army, like Italian army, privileged access to intelligence cooperation, technological cooperation, so on. And third, every military base is a small economic ecosystem where there are, suppliers, local vendors, local work, local stuff. So we have seen that even in places like Afghanistan or Eritrea, when a military base is pull off, there is a small economic regression. Many people lose their job, many companies lose clients. So it's not interesting of none of the two to lose the American presence.
All right, so we'll have to see how that goes with those meetings. But look, thanks so much, Giuseppe Adamo, giving us the latest there on what happened in Rome these last days. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. That concludes World Talks, but stay right here on TVP World for more. Goodbye.